What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are finally going to get a chance to review the KEF KF92 subwoofer. Now, I reviewed the little brother KEF KC62 when that bad boy first came out, and I sang high praise for that subwoofer. I absolutely loved it. In fact, I still own my KEF KC62. It's upstairs sitting on top of my media console because it's so small. And upstairs in that living room, I watch movies, I play video games, and I watch TV shows on Netflix. So it's a great addition to my room. Upstairs, I have what's called a soundbar living room. I'll throw a picture on screen so you can see what I mean. There's just not a ton of space for subwoofers. So the small KEF KC62 was just the saving grace, this tiny little thing that was still capable of incredible output and extension. Now, when I reviewed that subwoofer, that thing had just come out. The specs were like almost hard to believe. In fact, a lot of people were like, hey, maybe that's a misprint. But once reviewers got their hands on them, we all pretty much confirmed that bad boy really was an extension monster. So a lot of you guys started to become curious in KEF subwoofers in general, and especially what the larger model could do. Because, you know, with the KEF KC62 being so small, we all knew, hey, it's going to be killer in small rooms. Larger rooms, probably not. You know, you might be able to get away with a pair, but you're not going to be able to get reference level theater from the small KC62 in a bigger room. A lot of you guys theorized that that's where the KF92 came in, and you're pretty much right. This thing is a hell of a performer. But before we jump into that, let me throw the main specs on screen so you guys can check that out. I'll tell you about some standout features. I'll tell you what it sounds like. I'm going to do my best to do some comparisons, but you'll see why it's going to be uniquely challenging, and then we'll wrap it up. So, standout features, in my opinion, are going to be the size. This bad boy is quite small. It's a very small form factor. I believe anyone who's got a space constraint, this should be great for them. I can't imagine someone saying they cannot fit something this small in their room, right? So that's fantastic. But small size alone is not that impressive unless the subwoofer has like great output or great extension, or just, it's got to be great, right? Because if it's tiny but it doesn't have any bass, who cares? Don't worry, guys. This bad boy is very, and I mean very capable. And not just for how small it is, just period. We'll get into that in a second, what I mean by that. Some other standout features: it is a force canceling design, meaning the cabinet does not vibrate at all when bass is playing. So if for some reason you need to put this inside of a media console, you could do that. And it even has a few different EQ modes on the back for how you're going to place it in the room, whether it be corner placement, along the front wall, or inside of a media cabinet. Some other things that are pretty cool is this actually has built-in bass management. So if you wanted to run high pass to your speakers, low pass to your subwoofer, say 60 hertz crossover, you could do that with this subwoofer. Just all the bass management's built in. You don't have to rely on a mini DSP or having a high-end AVR. This will just on its own take care of that for you. I thought that was pretty cool. So now what does it sound like, right? That's the million-dollar question, because, like, you know, okay, it's small, you know, it looks great, it's a force canceling design, but like, is it good? Yeah, it's a monster, guys. It really is. So check it out. Each driver has its own 500 watt RMS amplifier powering it. So you got a total of 1,000 watts here. And that's a great thing, because small subwoofers generally are going to be lower in efficiency. So if they don't have a ton of wattage, it means they're not going to play very loud. So it's really good that KEF gave this thing so much power, because it brings that efficiency back up in a way, right? That's not actually what it does, but it solves the efficiency problem. Anyhow, this subwoofer is really it's gonna be just fantastic in a few scenarios, right? You've got a space constraint. You're looking for something with a high wife acceptance factor. Or, you know, maybe you're like me and you're just weird. You don't like heavy things. Guys, I don't know what it is. I get weird with heavy things. You may have noticed I've never reviewed a subwoofer over 100 pounds. I don't know why. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like having objects that are very heavy. The only thing that I'm okay with is like a car. Like if a car is heavy, I don't care, because a car could move itself. But like even my couch upstairs, like when I bought a couch, I made sure I didn't buy one that was incredibly heavy. Anyway, weird thing about me, I digress. So I think the best way to talk about the KEF KF92 is in reference to its little brother. Because, you know, like I said, I've owned that bad boy for, I don't know, a year now, maybe more. I've owned it for as long as it's existed. I bought it when it first came out. So the KEF KC62, I think, is going to be fantastic for a music dominant system. It's got great speed and transients, great note-to-note distinction, awesome extension, all in a really, really small compact package. The KEF KF92 has all of those as well. However, its low frequency extension is tremendously stronger. The authority, there's just so much more of it. So in my opinion, I'm gonna say it's gonna be right at home in a theater environment. Now let me be clear, I'm not saying it doesn't do music well. It does music just fine. So if you've got a 50-50 system and you wanna make sure the subwoofer you buy can shake and rattle your windows, but also sound good with music, the 92 can sound fantastic with music. The reason I recommend it for theater dominant systems is because its strong suit is the amount of room rumble it can generate, the amount of bass that it can do from 40 hertz down into the low teens. It's something breathtaking for how small it is. It can shake your room and extend low, kind of the way you would exactly the way you would expect a larger subwoofer like a 15 or 18 inch to perform. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I have 15-inch subwoofers here. I know how much bass a 15-inch subwoofer produces. Now, just to be, completely fair here, a much larger subwoofer can play louder in a larger room, right? So we're not talking about big rooms here. We're talking about your average kind of room, say 12 by 14. A KF92 can play plenty loud in a room that's about 12 by 14. It'll play at reference levels, all while maintaining that incredibly dominant low frequency extension. Now, again, larger subs can do that too, but if you don't have a huge room, you probably don't want a huge sub. I don't have a huge room. I have a big-ish sub. I wish it was smaller. Wouldn't mind if it was smaller, you know what I mean? So this kind of fits a niche because I've talked to a lot, there's a ton of people out there, right, that they want fantastic bass. They want that killer output. They want, really essentially, most home theater enthusiasts are looking to recreate reference levels of bass in their living room. That generally requires a pair of 15-inch subwoofers and up in size to like really get that lowest rumble. Unless you have a pair of KF92s. I mean, Shane from Spare Change reviewed them, and he said he was getting as much extension and rumble out of the pair of KF92s as he was getting out of his pair of SVS PB16 Ultras. So that's kind of crazy, and that's in line with my experience also. So while it might sound like what I'm saying is an exaggeration, saying this little cube can extend like a 15-inch sub, it's not an exaggeration. That's what KEF brings to the table. Their subwoofers extend crazy low and with authority, with dominance, with force and sound power. Very impressive stuff here, guys. Very impressive. Again, I do think I like the smaller KC62 in a music-only system. The KF92, I felt its leading edge was just a little bit softened compared to its little brother, the KC62. It wasn't sloppy by any means, just to be clear. It wasn't like slow or sluggish, no. Just the KC62 is really small. It's got magnesium drivers. It's gonna be real quick, real tight, real, great with its transient response and speed and note-to-note distinction. The KEF KF92 is good at all those things also, but then just dominates with extension that, again, just generally has only been associated with large subwoofers. So if you've got kind of like a regular to smaller size room and you're looking for that reference level bass experience, but you don't want huge subs, here you go. It's kind of that simple. And that brings me to comparisons, which gets a bit odd because there is no other subwoofer that is this small that can do between, say, 15 hertz and 40 hertz what this thing does. There's larger subs that could do what this does. There's nothing this size that can extend the way this extends. So they kind of makes comparisons difficult. There's subs like the JL Audio D110 that's similar in size, right? And it can play louder, but it can't extend anywhere near what the KF92 can. There's subwoofers like the REL T7X, right? It's really well known for its sound quality and fidelity, and it can integrate so well in a nice like stereo. But again, it can't come close to the extension the KF92 can produce. It just can't. Guys, a single KF92 rattles my windows, and the home I live in is a new construction build from 2017 with dual pane windows and tons of insulation. Like, my windows don't generally rattle. It could be like, there could be like a storm outside. It could be like raining like hell, windy like hell. My windows just don't rattle. KF92 makes my windows rattle. So yeah, you know, I wish I could sit here and kind of like keep talking about this bad boy, but it's kind of simple. It's good at all the things a subwoofer should be good at, right? You know, good note-to-note distinction, good transient response and speed, good tonal character. As far as being like SQ or SPL, it's kind of like right in the middle, much like the KC62, so it's easy to recommend. A lot of people are gonna like it. It's got a lot of good functionality and features, force canceling design. It's got the high pass options and built-in bass management. It's small. So it does all the things a good subwoofer should do. And then this one area where it's just outstanding. It's exceptional, and that's that 40 hertz and below down into the low teens, crazy extension. So if I speak anymore, I think I'll just be repeating myself. So I believe I've given as clear an assessment I can give on what KEF brings to the table by way of the KF92. This is just a review sample, so it will be going back, but I am happy that at least I own the little brother KC62, and I look forward to owning that bad boy for many years to come. If you have any questions, ask in the comments below. This channel also has a free Discord, so if you have any more questions about the KF92 and you want to hear some answers or experiences from existing owners, some of the guys in the Discord do own the KF92. They're really happy with it. They love it. I mean, like, what's not to love? You want extension? Like, oh my God, it's just... guys, if you get the opportunity to demo one, do not miss that opportunity. I promise you, it is quite shocking to see so much extension come from such a small form factor with authority to back it up, with control, with sound power. It's really impressive, guys. Yeah, anyhow, I think I've rambled on enough. KF92, great sub. It'll be, you know, right at home in a music system, but because of its just incredible ability for dominant extension, it really makes sense to use it in a theater environment. That's just where it's going to just absolutely dominate, unless you have something just 3-4 times the size. If you have any questions, let's chat about it. Until next time, later.